Are you on the journey to a healthier whole food diet? Are you wanting to make some food swaps but not sure where to begin? Well, today is your lucky day. This episode is part one of a three-part series about simple pantry swaps without the panic. So stick around. Hey friend, are you tired of feeling confused about nutrition and what foods are actually healthy? Do you want simple, practical steps to feed yourself and your family with confidence? If so, you're in the right place. Hi, I'm Tracy, and each week I'll help you understand food labels, how to choose healthy ingredients, and discover God-designed foods that support true wellness. Welcome to Godly Nutrition. Grab your pen and paper, and let's make healthy eating simple again. The Godly Nutrition Podcast is your place for cutting through the confusion surrounding healthy eating and returning to simple principles rooted in God's design for our bodies. Each episode offers practical wisdom, biblical encouragement, and clear guidance to help you confidently make healthier choices for yourself and your family. For more resources on whole foods, grain milling, and homemade bread, visit my website, breadroots.com, where you'll find education and inspiration for living a God-honoring, nourishing lifestyle from the kitchen outward. I'll leave all the details in the show notes. This podcast is for educational purposes only, not professional advice. Are you on the journey to a healthier whole food diet and are wanting to make some pantry swaps but not sure where to begin? Well, today is your lucky day. This episode is part one of a three-part series about simple pantry swaps without the panic. Hi, friend. Welcome back to Godly Nutrition. I'm Tracy, and today we are going to take the next step in learning how to make healthy eating simple again by making some simple pantry swaps. Before we begin, though, I need to solidify something. I want you to always keep in mind that eating whole foods has never been a new thing. It's not a trend. It was established by God Himself in the beginning of creation and man living in the garden. I just had to say that because so many people ask me about the trend of eating clean and whole foods. It's not. We have been brainwashed into thinking it's new. No, man has steadily tried to undermine what God set from the beginning. It was His idea. All right, so let's get into it. In my first three episodes, I laid a foundation of whole foods versus over-processed manufactured food products, even products designated as healthy. I'm doing the air quotes. If you haven't heard those yet, I encourage you to go back and do so. In every episode, my goal is for you to walk away encouraged and empowered to take control of your own health, your own kitchen, and your own home. Because you are smart and capable, get excited. Your Heavenly Father has the answers you have been seeking for your health and that of your family. So today, I'm sharing one of 4 simple pantry swaps to begin the transition to a whole foods way of eating. To keep this episode to a reasonable time frame, I will have to just touch on each, but know that I will be addressing each one deeper in future installments. Simple pantry swaps. Since the transition to a whole foods lifestyle is a step-by-step process, we will start with what I found to be 4 foundational stones to build upon: whole grains, salt, fats and oils, and I'll have a bonus on butter. At first, I was going to start with salt because it is absolutely vital for a healthy body, despite what the experts say. But as I studied, the Lord corrected me to begin with whole grains. Why? Because when it comes to food and nutrition, that is where He began in creation. Yes, I have cited these verses before, but I can't help it. It is where it all started. Genesis 1, verses 11 and 12. God created the grass and herbs yielding seed. God said it was good. So if God said it was good, Why then do we listen to the world declaring them to be bad? Genesis 1:29, He has given us every herb-bearing seed as food. Of course, after the flood, we were given meats for food too. I'm not promoting vegetarianism or the such. I am simply stating that is where our food source began from God, is seeds, grains, beans. With that basic information, grains and beans must be pretty important to the human diet according to our Heavenly Father, wouldn't you say? So straight out the gate of the very first book and chapter of the Bible, what God created for food has now become one of the most controversial foods to eat according to the world, the food industry, the health and medical industry, and even the nutritional industry. Why is that? Could it be that if we eat whole grains and beans regularly, our bodies would be healthy and we would not have so much need for the health and medical industry, which has now grown into a $1 trillion business? So I say, let them eat cake. Cake, that is, made from whole grain, freshly milled flour. And here's a plug for my Chocolicious chocolate cake recipe made with freshly milled flour. As the South would say, it is slap your mama good. The link will be in the show notes. For decades now, since the early 1900s to be specific, it is so sad what the food industry has done for decades to our grains. They vilified them, and then they have stripped them by sifting away the healthy stuff and leave us with just the bare starchy parts. For some understanding, a little grain seed anatomy lesson is due. Every whole grain consists of 3 parts: bran, germ, and the endosperm. Bran is the fiber-rich outer layer. You must have all the fiber for good digestion. It helps absorb water, make you feel fuller longer, bulks up your stool, and then cleans your pipes, if you get my drift. Germ is the nutritionally dense embryo layer. It is a very small part of the whole seed of grain, yet it is so powerful for our health. All of the life-giving nutrients are held in the germ, used to give your body life or to start a whole new plant. Endosperm, that is the starchy part, the starchy food supply for the seed, mainly the proteins. So again, what have the food companies done? They have taken away all the bran and all the germ, leaving us with an isolate, the endosperm. Remember in the last episode I talked about isolates? Isolates are just that. It is a main food that has had part of it isolated. In other words, set apart from the other parts. God did not design things to be isolated, not you, nor your food nutrients. We need the whole grain. We need all the players on the team to bring nutritional success to our bodies. My desire is for you to ultimately make the switch from refined flours to whole grain flours. And yes, that includes wheat, that you can mill into flour in your own home. But for the sake of this episode and to help you quickly make a switch to whole grains, I suggest starting with rice. That's an easy one. Swap nutritionally empty white rice for nutritionally dense brown whole grain rice. What you and I are given in the store are basically 2 choices: white rice or brown whole grain rice. Most of us were brought up eating white rice. We were told it's so pretty and it's white. The issue with white rice is it has been stripped and polished of its bran and germ. That's why it's white. It is only the starchy part of the grain. pretty much tasteless and nutritionless. White rice is processed by the body like sugar. It raises the glycemic level quite high and then followed by the inevitable blood sugar crash. Why is that? Because the bran was taken away. On the contrary, brown rice is the whole grain, containing the bran, the germ, and the endosperm, and packed with nutrients, lots of fiber, healthy fats, and essential vitamins and minerals. White rice, on the other hand, is enriched with only a few specific synthetic vitamins and maybe some iron. You heard that term, synthetic, right? Your body really doesn't know what to do with that. Let me also add that brown rice is full of nutty flavor. It actually tastes like something. I recommend adding lots of butter, salt, pepper, or other seasonings. It brings so much depth to any dish. Since you are listening to this podcast, it seems your desire is to feed your family with good, wholesome foods and not emptiness. There is a verse in the Bible that talks about that kind of emptiness. Isaiah 55:2, New Living Translation. Why spend your money on food that does not give you strength? Why pay for food that does you no good? Listen to me, and you will eat what is good. You will enjoy the finest food. You may be saying that your family may have a hard time making the switch. I hear you, because when the body is used to so much sugar, it can be a challenge when it's taken away. So here's a simple way to make that swap. Because brown rice is a whole grain, it requires a longer cooking time than white rice, about 45 to 50 minutes, but well worth it. You can make a batch of brown rice ahead of time, divide it up into half-cup portions, and freeze. Then, the next time you cook white rice, simply swap or mix in one of those brown rice portions. Do that several times, adding more portions of brown rice to white rice as you go along until you completely make the switch. Easy peasy. Now, all I make is brown rice. Tip: because it does take a longer time to cook, when I need it for a meal, I simply double or triple the batch, freezing the rest for the next quick meal. I encourage you to be brave and make the swap. You will be so glad you did. Don't forget, in a later episode, we will talk about how to make the flour swap. That's a super important one. I will close today with this. God is the creator of all things good. Whole grains are definitely one of them. You cannot go wrong eating His way. And don't forget, next week, I will pick up our part 2 of this series, Salt, Our Hero. I hope you enjoyed today's intriguing episode and will make some pantry swaps in your kitchen. For more ingredient information, please visit my website, breadroots.com, and go to my ingredients page. The links will be in the show notes. Thank you again for stopping by Godly Nutrition. Check out the last 3 episodes if you haven't already done so, and be sure to share this one with a friend or two. Let's keep working to make healthy eating simple again. Hey friend, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If so, would you take 30 seconds and share it with a friend who may be struggling and feeling confused about how to eat healthy? Also, would you help support this channel by leaving a quick review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen? I'm so glad you stopped by today. Don't forget to follow Godly Nutrition Podcast, and I'll meet you back here next week for another great episode. Till then, have a wonderful week.